The two opening races of our 1975 mini-season are already complete, and before heading to Europe for the middle part of the season, we stay in the Southern Hemisphere for a third and final time as we visit Kyalami for the South African Grand Prix. This track, back in the day, was a staple on the F1 calendar as it hosted this race between 1967 and 1985. In all those years, there was only one home win, however, despite Jody Scheckter being in competitive machinery throughout his career. And fittingly so, that home win came to him in 1975. And of course, we're trying to replicate this success here today, trying to turn Tyrrell's and Scheckter's season around after two retirements in the first two races. And this is the starting grid for today's South African Grand Prix. Carlos Reutemann starts from pole position alongside James Hunt in the front row. Then we have Emerson Fittipaldi, Claire Regazzoni, Niki Lauda, Tom Pryce, Ronnie Peterson, Jack Hicks, Vittorio Brambilla, ourselves, Jody Scheckter will be starting from P10, and then for the rest of the grid we have Jochen Mass, Patrick Depailler, Carlos Pace, Mark Donoghue, Rolf Stommelen, Jean-Pierre Jarier, Dave Charlton, Mario Andretti, Arturo Mazzario, Chris Amon, Wilson Fittipaldi, Eddie Kazan, Rolf Stommelen, Leila Lombardi, Bob Evans, and Guy Tunma. And with all of that out of the way, here we are, awaiting the green light for the start of the 1975 South African Grand Prix, and away we are. We are already past Jochen Maas alongside Jack Hicks and Vittorio Brambilla going towards turn 1, Crowthorne. Tom Pryce also with not the greatest of starts. We are taking care, however, into turn 1. Down the hill we go there. Now into that very sweeping opening part of the track, a very sweeping track in general, as we just made it through barbecue and now the Juxke sweep, and this is the part of the track that still exists nowadays, though a very different track it is nowadays. Now through Sunset we know this corner, and then turn 5 Clubhouse. Oh, taking a wide line, trying to attack Tom Pryce, doesn't work for us. Now we have to take care of Vittorio Brambilla just behind us, who looks to make a move here through the S's. And this is now where the modern track would turn left and go onto a very different path. This here doesn't even exist anymore. Loikup, the 8th and final proper corner, and then we only have the Kink, which is fittingly named the Kink, remaining. And on towards the pit straight we go. Into lap 2, James Hunt has taken the lead. Clay Regazzoni, awesome start. He's up to P2 ahead of Reutemann, Lauda. Yeah, this is ourselves now battling with Tom Pryce for P8. Not too successful for now, our efforts to move up and closer towards the points. The top 6 you've just seen there, these are the point scoring positions, so only the top 6 being awarded with points in 1975. Oh, as Brambilla just moved past us in his march. Brambilla, a couple of strong qualifying so far this season, but yeah, after the starts he always fell down the order. And now he is trying to improve his position for a change. He is up into 9th already. As we're trying to get a good slipstream on both of them. And we are close to Brambilla. But as soon as we leave the slipstream, we don't gain too much. Now, a bit of late braking into Crowthorne. We passed Brambilla, and alongside Tom Pryce, this might actually be a chance to move up another spot. Well, we don't know so far. Oh, but he's pretty slow here through barbecue, not really trusting the downforce of his car. You can take barbecue flat out in these cars. Tom Pryce did not do so here. He's very slow through clubhouse as well. We kind of have to take evasive action to not run into his rear, but that has allowed Brambilla back through Sunset, up the hill now towards Loikop. And now we're losing a bit to Price's Shadow and Brambilla's March here. We won't be able to attack them this time around, but 4/3 of a lap, no, 3/4, sorry, 3/4 of a lap later, as I'm at a loss of words here, and my vocabulary has, well, managed to completely get mixed up. We are close to the back of Tom Price. And now we might be able to try something once again into turn 1. It is a very, very long flat out bit here towards Crowthorne. Over the line we go. And now this is a big opportunity coming up. He is also trying to attack Brambilla, and we may be able to get both of them here into turn 1. And we are late on the brakes, sliding the car a bit, but these cars really like to do that, and you can drive them like that, which is very enjoyable. And now, finally, we move past Brambilla and Tom Price's Shadow. Well, and this is the battle here at the top of the grid. Clay Regazzoni against James Hunt for the lead of this race. Ronnie Peterson, finally a very good race for the Lotus team. They're still using the outdated Lotus 72 here. It has, of course, won the championship in 1972, but by 1975 it, was outdated a lot. Carlos Reutemann is also there in the battle for the lead. Now, you might be missing Niki Lauda. The reason for this is that Niki Lauda somehow had to make a pit stop already to where he changed tires. We don't know what happened there. We just know Niki Lauda, one of the big favorites for the race win and the championship, is already out of contention, at least at the top. Let's see where he can come back from the situation, as we just watched James Hunt in a battle with Reutemann, who he just passed, and now he's trying to retake the lead. He has taken that on lap 1, but Regazzoni has since beaten him for it. And now through the kink we go. Oh, and James Hunt is peeling into the pits as well. What is going on? Another early pit stop by one of the front runners. And he also seems to be in for a tire change. And look how many positions he is losing as he just comes out of the pit lane here, but rather at the end of the grid, far away from any point scoring positions. And this, of course, has also moved us up a spot. Brambilla has moved with us. We were able to get a bit of distance between ourselves and Tom Price, but Brambilla is there now, as we're just behind Jackie X's Lotus. And seeing that Lauda and Hunt made a pit stop and fell out of that top group, we're now running in 6th. Trying to get into P5, but Brambilla gets a good run in against us. Into turn 1 we go. We have the outside line. The track kind of bends away here, bit off camber, and we even lose another spot to Carlos Pache, who has an incredible, has made some incredible moves here through the field. He started way down the order, and now he's already up into 7th, looking to get into the points here. That's also a great thing about these 70 this season, that the order is always kind of mixed up, and yeah, lots of teams able to score points depending on how their cars work on each track. As you can see now, today the track and the conditions really seem to suit Lotus. They were nowhere in the first 2 rounds, but now both of their cars are running in the points. Though Jackie X has to fight for it right now against Brumbia's March. Also would be the first time that the March team scores points this season. Carlos Parcher in there as well in that battle for the final 2 point scoring positions. Ooh, as we lock our front right and slide a bit wide, so we're a bit out of that fight for now. But it also would be the first points for ourselves as Jody Scheckter and Tyrrell in this season. As we're looking to take advantage of their battle. And I'm sure something will arise somewhen, and this is the opportunity as through Clubhouse Parcher ran wide, so we slip through there. Alongside Brambilla we go into the S's, we even move ahead of the Italian, and now once again we are back in 6th and back in the points. Not the greatest exit out of Leica as the car tried to go away from us. Brambilla once again getting a good run on the pit straight. We're already defending. This time we want to be on the inside, but look at the speed of Brambilla and his march. Oh, running wide once again, but this time we push Brambilla with us. Carlos Parcher now is still there in his Brabham, but we stay ahead of the Brazilian as well. And keep on to 6th. Oh, but there, look. Parcher really filling our mirrors there. He's trying it down the inside in Clubhouse. Oh, and we make a little bit, just a very, very slight notch there with Jackie X. And that is enough to spin the Belgian around somewhat. He's still running, but he's lost 2 positions because of that. Oh, it was just the slightest of touches there, but yeah, enough to unsettle his car. Luckily he didn't hit the wall and he's still in this race, but yeah, that definitely wasn't clean. As we fast forward a little bit and are still in a battle with Carlos Parcher right behind us. Brambilla in the meantime, he also had to make it into the pits. Oh, as we are running 3 wide into turn 1, we have the middle, and we take good advantage of that, although we are running a little wide here, out of turn 1. Parcher uses that for his switchback, and he retakes P5. Oh, and now we're really struggling, and we seem to be struggling with the tires. And I think this is also the reason why so many people went into the pit. Brambilla, one of those, for example. He is not in that fight anymore. And then we've seen James Hunt making it into the pit lane very early as well. And Niki Lauda did so as well, as I've told you. But yeah, for Lauda and James Hunt, this was a little early. We're now around half-time-ish. So we would be fine if we make it into the pits. But let's try to run as long as we can, because I don't think that everybody needs to pit. And yeah, pit stops not being that fast back in the day. Yeah, not even the slipstream is helping us too much here against Carlos Parcher. I also have the feeling that our Ford Cosworth DFV engine is a bit down on power right now. This of course can happen. Just yeah, in terms of reliability, we've seen that the Tyrrell, especially the one from Jody Scheckter, wasn't the most reliable one so far. 2 mechanical DNFs both in Argentina and Brazil. That is a hat trick we sure could do without. As look how much time we have been losing to Carlos Parcher in that last lap. We just skipped. Running wide here. The grip is lacking everywhere. So yeah, I think, yeah, look at that. Once again, running wide, off the track we go. And now finally, Jackie Hicks should be moving past. Side by side through the SS. We managed to hold on to 6th for now. But this won't be working for much longer. Now into the final corner. Struggling to get the power down. Side by side now with Jackie Hicks. Towards the pit straight we go. Through the kink. Jackie Hicks is past. And yeah, we won't be even able to attack him into turn 1. So we decide, unfortunately, it will be time to go into the pits for some fresh tires. And at the end of this lap, we make it out of the pit lane, and we are now way down the order. Some cars have of course made a pit stop, but this is still the minority. So most of the drivers able to stay out. Ahead of us, this is Graham Hill for Embassy Hill Racing, his own team. And Graham Hill also in his final season of Formula 1 here, the two-time Formula 1 world champion and father of Damon Hill. He's running in 17th. And look in our mirror right now as we try to move past Hill and Wilson Fittipaldi ahead of us. That is Vittorio Brambilla. We found him again as we're now side by side with Damon Hill towards Lacob. Ooh, a little bit of yeah, forcing our way past, but we made it work. We're up into 17th, but there goes Brambilla. We won't get away from him today. But this time, we managed to stay ahead. We choose the inside. Once again, almost 3 wide into turn 1. But we hold on to it and are now trying to get past the Coposuca Fittipaldi of Wilson Fittipaldi, brother of Emerson Fittipaldi, the reigning champion. I don't know what we did there, because, well, usually you don't need to lift off through Jukski sweep. So that has enabled Brambilla to try and move past us. And now the wide line trying to get alongside Fittipaldi. That didn't work. And now we have to defend from Brambilla's march. Through the S's, we managed to move past. And now, wow, with late braking into Lacob, we move past Wilson Fittipaldi, but then on the throttle, we have to counter steer a lot to avoid us spinning around. And therefore, Fittipaldi moves past once again. But now we're getting a good slipstream. But not as good as Brambilla behind us. But into turn 1, late on the brakes, taking advantage of the fresh rubber we just got. But yeah, if we're too late on the brakes running wide, that doesn't help us at all. As both of them move past, we're already, yeah, past Brambilla once again. And now against Wilson Fittipaldi. Where can we make a move? Now through Sunset, we kind of force a bit of space. And now we are on the outside. This hasn't worked so far through Clubhouse, but as we are late on the brakes, it works this time, running wide a little bit, but it is enough to stay ahead of the Coposuca Fittipaldi of Wilson. And then we finally should be past him. But there's the next 3-car battle just ahead of us that we will need to move past if we want to have any, just very slight chance to score any points today. Let's see who is in there. This is one of the Team Gunston cars, one of the McLarens owned by the South African team. Then there is Chris Amon in the ensign. We moved past the Team Gunston car there. Probably Dave Charlton. I haven't seen who that was. But now ahead of us, this is Chris Amon in the ensign, as I've already said, and Bob Evans in the BRM. Also, sadly, the struggling BRM team. They were once so great. And one of the few cars that had its own engine and was not using the Cosworth DFV, but rather an own engine, an own V12 engine, I should say. But for now, we want to use our Cosworth DFV to move past that ensign of the New Zealander and the BRM of Evans. We're past Amon, and this is now Evans, and even ahead of turn 1 we move past, and are now up into P12 thanks to some other pit stops happening, but 12 seconds behind Andretti in 11th. So let's look at what's going on at the top of the order, and we see a battle between Clay Regazzoni and Carlos Reutemann for the lead, but smoke, once again, black smoke, coming out of the Brabham of Reutemann. The Argentinian driver might be in for another DNF here. And Emerson Fittipaldi might be one of those to pick up the pieces, just like he did in Brazil. Emerson is once again in a great position to take advantage of the problems of others. James Hunt already has dropped out of that group. Niki Lauda did so with a pit stop, and now Carlos Reutemann retires from P2 whilst fighting for the win here. What a shame for Brabham and Reutemann. But for us that means another easy spot gained, as we just moved past Mario Andretti in the Penske here. Sorry, not in the Penske, in the Parnelli. Mark Donoghue, the other American driving for the other American team, is in the Penske. Sorry for the mix-up there. But now, just another car is ahead of us that we might be able to pass for position. And this is Jean-Pierre Jarier in the shadow. And right now we are the fastest car on track, which is really a shame. Because, yeah, we had to make that pit stop. Which is also, of course, the reason why we're now the quickest car on track, probably. But, yeah. Oh, and even into turn 1 already, we move past Jarier. And, yeah, our pace is really good right now, but we're too far away from any point scoring positions. We're up to 9th, but still 7.7 seconds behind Jochen Maas in 8th. And only a few laps still to go, so we couldn't improve on that P9. But let's look at the battle for the race lead. Emerson Fittipaldi has arrived at the back of Clay Regazzoni and is now fighting for that race win here. 2 laps to go now. You can ignore James Hunt. He even had to do a second pit stop. No surprise considering how early he stopped for the first time. But pace-wise, he's also able to run with these two, which is, of course, a very big shame for Hesketh and Hunt, because pace-wise, they're really up there, but somehow, last time it was reliability, this time it was probably tires and the heat, that made them struggle. So he only has front row seats for that fight for the win between the Ferrari of Regazzoni and the McLaren of Emerson Fittipaldi. And now Fittipaldi looks to make it alongside at least against Regazzoni. Side by side towards the pit straight they go. Fittipaldi has to stay behind for another lap. And now into the final lap they go, as James Hunt is trying to move back past Fittipaldi. That, of course, is not what he needs for his charge for the race win here. Oh, that must surely unsettle the Brazilian. That Hunt is kind of doing some funny business behind, even though he's a lap down. Oh, side by side once again. This is the opportunity for Fittipaldi through sunset, but it doesn't work. And now once again, Hunt is alongside the McLaren. Through clubbers they go. Now Fittipaldi rather has to defend from James Hunt than being able to attack Clay Regazzoni. Now Hunt has backed off. But this is already the final opportunity for Emerson Fittipaldi. Through Lake Hope they go. Now they're both on the throttle, but the Ferrari seems to have a bit more power than the McLaren, as Regazzoni once again manages to stay ahead, just ahead of Emerson Fittipaldi, and across the line they go. Regazzoni becomes the third winner in 3 races and wins the South African Grand Prix 1975. And here are the point scorers for today. Regazzoni wins ahead of Fittipaldi. Carlos Pace, awesome recovery drive. Once again, he picks up the pieces to finish on the podium. Once again, Ronnie Peterson in 4th and Jackie Hicks in 5th mean a double points finish for the Lotus team, and Niki Lauda recovers to P6 in the final laps. He passed Patrick Depailler for P6, and well, what a shame once again for Tyrrell, as they, for the second time this season, finished just outside the points. And that means that the Drivers' Championship looks as follows. Emerson Fittipaldi is leading the championship on 19 points thanks to another great finish here on the podium today. Clay Regazzoni moves up to 2nd, equal in points with Carlos Pace, but thanks to Regazzoni's race win today, he leads on countback. Niki Lauda then in 4th, Reutemann in 5th, and then we have Andretti, Jean-Pierre Jarier, Peterson and Hicks entering the championship in 8th and 9th, and Mark Donoghue in 10th. So this is the top 10 of the World Drivers' Championship. And in the Constructors' Championship, we have Ferrari 2 points ahead of McLaren, and a further 2 points ahead of Brabham. And then there is a big gap to Lotus, who enter in 4th now. Panelli, Shadow, Penske, Embassy Hill, and Tyrrell and Williams still without any points. So this is the top 10 of the Constructors. And yeah, that has been it already for that third race of our 1975 mini Formula 1 season. I hope you enjoyed it. The next race will be the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Let's hope this will be just exciting as the race today. And I hope to see you all there. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And yeah, subscribe to not miss anything on this channel. Until the next time, goodbye.